Hello everyone, Eddie here with Orbital Knives, and today I want to talk to you guys about 20CV steel. And the reason I want to do this is because our Large Callisto will be releasing in 20CV, and I'm super excited about it. I am a big fan of this steel, full disclosure there. And yeah, I love 20CV, even though it's been around for a long time and newer steels have come into play since. It's still one of my favorites. It is first off a powder steel, which means that all of the properties of the steel are really consistent and will spread across the blade, essentially. Um, it also has like a high carbon content, which allows for high hardness on the steel without too much brittleness. It has good vanadium content, which helps with the wear resistant, and the chromium content again also high, so it helps a lot with the corrosion resistance. Um, this is not a steel that you coat with something like this one is DLC coated. It's just because the industry likes it, just because a lot of you guys love the fancy look of DLC and the scratch resistance of it. But it's not like we do it because it would rust otherwise. For example, I have here this is a WE 617C, and this is in D2 steel. So when I bought this one originally a long time ago, I got it with that coating because D2 is not stainless. So you do have a higher risk of it rusting over time. So I did get that layer of protection there, but that's not something that you need with 20CV. But I do feel that you cannot talk about 20CV without talking about M390, because I look at M390 as the older sibling of 20CV. And it's fascinating because there are other high-end steels that have been produced specifically for knives. But M390 wasn't one of those. M390 is developed by a company called Bowler out of Europe, and it was originally born out of the need to have steel that was able to survive extreme wear, high stress, and corrosive environments. But it was developed for other commercial applications, industrial applications. Um, for example, a lot of aircraft parts are made out of M390 steel. So when you travel and you get on a plane, a lot of times you don't know, you're just in that plane, but you are there are parts within that plane that are made out of this steel. There is also high stress aerospace toolings that are made out of this steel. It really does cross through many industries because it is such a good steel. And then what happened was we looked at this steel. Well, the industry looked at this steel and thought, boy, we should put that on knives. It's already got all of the properties that we're looking into improving. And so that's when it got started, when we started using it in knives, essentially. With Jan Mouse being one of the companies that embraced M390 for a long time, every piece that they put out there was in M390, which was really, really cool. And then it became very popular within the knife industry, so much so that the company Crucible here in the US made the American version of M390. Now, a lot of people think that it is the exact same chemical composition, just made in the US, and we call it something different. It's not. There is a few differences, like very minimal differences in the chemical composition. If you ask me which one is best, I don't think anyone could give you an answer. I think most users wouldn't even notice the difference between the two, between many other steels even. But yeah, I do think that 20CV still remains a great steel, and it's a reminder that just because newer steels come along doesn't make this a worse steel. It's still an amazing steel, very tough, holds an edge like crazy, and yeah, very corrosion resistant. So I definitely enjoy it. What some of the trade-offs could be, I wrote about this on an article actually. If you like to sharpen your knives and you sharpen them often, this is not for you, because this is gonna hold an edge, so it's gonna be overkill, and it's gonna be also little more difficult to sharpen as well, because it's just harder. of a steel. And also the heat treatment. There are other steels out there in which heat treatment it's just easier to do with 20CV, and I've noticed that within higher end steels, and I don't know if somebody else knows anything about this, that would be cool to hear in the comments. But what I have noticed and heard is that the higher, like if you have steels that are higher end, you need that heat treatment to be more exact, meaning it's easy to mess it up. Now, I trust concept. These prototypes are all made in 20CV, and that's something that we do our orbital knives is all of our prototypes are going to be made on the steel that the knife is going to be made on. That way we can get the full experience. But I had tested also other knives from concept in 20CV, and they do amazing work with it. So I have no doubts that the Large Callisto is going to be no exception there. But yeah, that is why we're using 20CV. It is a steel that I absolutely love. And as a designer, it made sense to, you know, upgrade. Because we had the small Callisto, the original Callisto actually. And when you guys wanted it to be bigger, I wanted to bring that to you guys. And it made sense to upgrade the steel. Because in my mind, when you think of a bigger knife, I think of bigger tasks. So more abusive tasks, if you will. I think of a smaller knife being used for opening packages and letters and things like that, maybe cutting some food. And I think of a bigger knife as going down range and actually doing some heavier type of work. And so it makes sense, in my opinion, to go from 154 cm to a premium steel, which is 20 CV. This is actually considered a super steel, which is quite the label. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on the next one.